In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to set up Visual Studio Code for language server assisted editing of C files. To begin, we need to install two packages in our system. Type sudo apt install clangd and clang format. I have them installed already, but that on your system should ask for confirmation. Say yes to install. clangd is the LLVM created language server for C and C++. Clang format is an external tool that will automatically apply formatting rules to your C and C++ files, and I'll show you how to configure that in VS Code later. Next step is to go over to extensions and install the one called clangd. Once it is installed, it should immediately already be working. You can tell this when things like this are underlined and it shows you the path and there's follow link with control click, and it starts showing you information for the functions you have defined as previous in our episodes. You can control click to visit their declaration and definition and immediately navigate around even fairly large code bases just like that. It also lets you navigate to the location of header files, do things like find all references of a function, and we can see all three of them over here, the declaration, the definition, and the usage. It also does such things as doing autocomplete. So if we start typing, you can see here, hello. Also, if you do include files, stdio, and you can see here, it gives us the recommendation. And when we have a more complicated file like that, the autocomplete is even more interesting. We can start typing printf, and it gives us a autocomplete list of the parameters for that function. As you saw there, when I saved this file, it automatically got formatted. This is because the default setting in VS Code for format on save is enabled. This means that when clang format is installed, every time you save a C or C++ file, it will apply the clang format rules, which by default use the LLVM source formatting, to your file that you just saved. You can also invoke this manually by hitting Ctrl-Shift-P and typing format document, which I can show you right here. If I join these two lines and run format document, it reseparates them. So if you don't want it to do it on save, hit Control comma and type format on save and uncheck this. If we uncheck that setting, it will. If we make a violation of the formatting and save it as many times as we want, it won't do it until you hit Ctrl-Shift-P and format document. The way the language server protocol works is through a feature in CMake called export compile commands. Unless you have told it to do otherwise, the CMake extension we installed earlier will automatically run CMake with export compile commands enabled. And if we look in our build directory, there will be a file called compilecommands.json. And in this file, you can see that there is a directory, a command, and a file. So every time you open a file that matches one in the compile commands, clangd loads up the command used to build that. From this command, it can determine things like include paths, as well as, and I'll show you this in future episodes, linkages and other things like that that'll enable it to find all the declarations and definitions and build a full abstract syntax tree of your entire project. So in this episode, I've basically just shown you how to configure a simple C and C++ language server assisted editing experience in VS Code. In future episodes, I'm going to be covering in-depth things like how the build system actually works and what to expect from it so you can understand errors and failures more easily.